AskReddit by Mwaka. Who is praised as a good person in human history but was actually evil? Coco Chanel was a Nazi sympathizer and informer. She also tried to use the Nazis' Aryan laws, taking Jewish people's property rights, to strip her two Jewish business partners of their share of her business. They completely backed the company financially in 24 feet, and she didn't like that they received 70% of the profits of Chanel No. 5, while she only received 10%, so she tried to ruin them. Pablo Picasso, he was a complete jerk, and his kids were terrified of him. He would beat his girlfriends and draw them while they cried. Edison was a douche. The original patent troll. Grover Cleveland groomed his best friend's daughter from her infancy until he married her when she was 21 and he was 49. In the meantime, he date-raped a 38-year-old widow with 2 children, impregnated her, put her in an asylum, and paid for their son to live at an orphanage rather than marrying her or raising the boy himself. But that's okay, because once it all became public he started supporting her financially so the press would get off his back. Fun fact: Frances Cleveland was, and still is, the youngest ever First Lady when she married the president at age 21. What he did to Mariah Halpin is disgusting. She died in obscurity, labeled as an adulterous woman and shunned by society, while he got to enjoy public adoration which he manipulated at her and her child's expense. He barely support the kid to make sure he's not visible in the public eye. Hope he rots in hell. I don't know if I've ever heard him praised, but Oliver Cromwell put everyone in my town into a church and lit it on fire. Drogheda, Ireland. Edit. Yes, he is praised. https://en.m.wiki.org/wiki/100_greatest_Britons. And has 5 statues. If it makes you feel any better, he was born in the same town as me and we all think he's a total cunt here. Willy Wonka. Made delicious candy, experimented on children, and enslaved the Oompa Loompas. P.T. Barnum kinda? I mean, they made a whole ass musical based on this piece of shit. Not kinda, P.T. Barnum was a huge pose. The history of circus episodes of the show The American Experience talks all about what a horrible person P.T. Barnum was. It's really quite disgusting. Joe Kennedy Sr. Too many reasons to count. I read Gloria Swanson's autobiography and she talked about her relationship with him. She first approached him about helping her manage her money and maybe investing it. He put on the full court press to woo her. He was very married at the time, showering her with gifts, even buying her a new car. She soon found out that all of the money he had been spending on her was her own. She had given him access to it to invest for her. Thomas Edison. He killed Topsy. They say autopsy at my autopsy. Ferdinand Marcos, a dictator who killed a lot of people and brainwashed them. It is also one of the reasons why his son is sitting right now as a president of the Philippines despite not finishing a college degree. It hurts to see my entire family glorify him like some type of god. Cesar Millan. He met his wife while she was underage. He left her and she came back when she turned 18. Romantic, right? Well, he left her after she had his baby and got sick. Also, he had a very hostile work environment because his super aggressive bully Breed Jr. would run the halls. Allegedly it attacked numerous workers and even killed Queen Latifah's dog, and he just swept it all under the rug until it started being spoken on. And his murder mutt attacked and crippled a 14-year-old gymnast, a very talented and Olympics-bound athlete, ended her career, and he settled for an undisclosed amount in a lawsuit. People worship him anyway. Hans Asperger. Yeah, I couldn't finish Neurotribes, a book widely praised by many in autistic communities because of the misinformation it starts off with about Asperger. I guess he noticed autism, but he was a member of the Nazi Party, and his work on a committee classifying children according to their usefulness helped justify the euthanizing murder of 35 in them. His cooperation with the Nazi Party helped advance his career after the war. He wasn't some hero saving little autistic kids. AskReddit going off on Mother Teresa. Came here looking for this one. Everybody knows Thomas Edison. Hitler. People praise him for being the guy that killed Hitler, but he did an awful lot of bad stuff before that. I don't want to speak too strongly here, but the more I learn about this Hitler fella, the more I think he's a real jerk. Ellen DeGeneres. I hate that she had me fooled for decades. Man, I was really robbed of a proper education. And half of what I did learn is straight up propaganda. Same man. John Kellogg, founder of Kellogg's cereals, was a vocal eugenicist, and he was particularly concerned with race degeneracy. He believed that race was threatened both by racial mixing and mental defectives. In 1906, John Harvey Kellogg created the Race Betterment Foundation in Battle Creek, Michigan, which sponsored a series of conferences at its sanitarium in 1914, 1915, and 1928. He also created an intricate eugenics exhibit at the World's Fair. Theodore Geiselhacker. Dr. Seuss left his wife while she had terminal cancer and she ended up killing herself. Leaving your wife while she's dying of cancer is actually surprisingly common. Source: Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center 2009, among others. Henry Ford. Outspoken white supremacist and had alleged connections with Nazi Germany. Also pushed square dancing in schools because he hated jazz. Andrew Jackson. He's celebrated as a statesman and the 7th president of the US with the nickname Old Hickory. He's on the $20 bill. In reality, he was a violent, cruel man, a slave master and racist who signed the Indian Removal Act and is responsible for the Trail of Tears. He also killed Charles Dickens. Edit: Oops, Charles Dickinson. He also told the Supreme Court he didn't give a shit that they called his actions unconstitutional. And got away with it. No wonder they called him King Andrew. Chaplin. Yeah, that one hurt. P.T. Barnum. Woodrow Wilson. The man actually won the Nobel Peace Prize but was a notorious racist and set the standard of American interventionism for the rest of the century. I heard a story once that Ho Chi Minh once hoped to meet Wilson in Paris, hoping that he would be able to get the president to champion his cause for decolonizing Vietnam. When he met Woodrow Wilson's staff, they turned him away, informing him that Wilson was a racist and would not care for anything he had to say. Soon after, Ho Chi Minh picked up the Communist Manifesto. If there is one thing that reading this comment chain has instilled in me, it's that we are indeed getting better, because apparently everyone who lived more than 50 ago was an ass. Thomas Jefferson. Raped a slave girl repeatedly and fathered 6 of her children. Edit: If you think a 14-year-old slave girl can actually consent to sex with her 44-year-old master who legally owns her and can beat and whip her, you must be with the Taliban or something. Not to mention, the man enslaved his own children. I don't know anyone, right mind or not, who could think that is acceptable behavior. Henry Kissinger. Who is saying Henry Kissinger is a good person? Bing Crosby was a terrible person and a horrible father. Edited to say the reason I believe he's a bad person, despite speculation and heresy, is that when someone says my parents hurt me, I tend to believe them. Nobody really likes to tell people about abuse. It shames a lot of people, especially people from older generations, who were taught to respect their elders, no matter what. I'm sure there's a lot more abuse that went on back then, but the kids just didn't really talk about it. No, I've never heard this one. Now I'm sad. Pavlov. The man was a psychopath. He is cited in hundreds of thousands of academic papers and books, but the truth, he was a monster. Not only that, but his experiments have little if any scientific value, as he mutilated the dogs to such an extent that they cannot be used as analogues for normal, healthy animals. Crazy BC. Today I was behind a van for Pavlov Media and their company logo is a dog, and the first thing I said to my mom is, that's pretty fucked up considering what Pavlov did to dogs. This article that I did not read has the company logo on it for anyone interested. Networks in their communities 301,625,684 HTML. Alfred Kinsey and John Money.